Sometimes somebody comes in the waiting room. That's probably right. Yeah.
Get everybody out of here and then just lock down the meeting.
Moreh.
Yeah.
So everyone that's not on or able to get on Zoom right now, they have to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Unless we can identify them, because we can't really identify. Some of them have names that, or Galaxy, or Samsung, or iPhone, and it's not letting us know who they are.
Okay, Mike. How do you pronounce Aki's name? Mikael.
Mikael?
Yeah, Mikael. Is he on?
You should be on.
Yeah, he should be on.
Okay, because I was texting him. I know he said he couldn't get on. And then Aki Al Scott was trying to get on as well. But I'll tell him he have to go on YouTube now just for the safety purposes.
We saw Al Scott.
You got him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, there he is. All right.
Okay.
All right. Tora.
Mm-hmm.
Cut all that out in the video.
Okay, so where is I don't see blocking the meeting, so let's go ahead. Just go for it.
No. Take that and hide that right there.
It's gonna keep coming back up every single time somebody comes in waiting room.
So we're trying to block the meeting. Okay.
All right.
Just lock the meeting.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Just lock the meeting.
Oh, you just did? Okay. There we go.
Be in business? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Huh? You gotta have this thing at the right presentation, right? All right. I even typed up and put it on the everything. All right. So the majority of this lesson is going to be talking about the making of a war from the beginning, right? So we're going to see what that means, and then why the temple. We're going to do more of why the temple next week, but we're going to go into a little bit of it towards the end of it, but realistically, the making of a war from the beginning. Okay. So before we get into that, we can skip all this, making of the war. Everyone understands the instructions, the rules. Everyone's mic should be muted. If you want to answer or ask a question, you got 60 seconds. After that, they're going to mute your mic. Prayerfully, we're good to go. All right. So we'll start here. Now, I have something that's Dead Sea Scrolls and Enoch, and I got one other book. So for those that are just into the canon, okay, you got to bear with me for those that are just into the 66 books. When I say canon, something that's been canonized. But mind you, what we are sharing are something that's old or something that was before the canon that our forefathers was using before they canonized it in a later time period. All right, so anyway, we'll start with 11Q and 13, where it says the interpretation applies to Belial, which we'll talk about in the future, and the Spirit predestined to him, because all of them have rebelled, turning from Elohim's precepts, and to become utterly wicked. Now, these are the spirits. This is before our time. Is everyone with me? This is not like after us, then they decided they wanted to rebel. This is before humans, if you will. All right. Therefore, Melchizedek or Chesed will thoroughly persecute the vengeance required by Elohim's statutes. In that day, he will deliver them from the power of Belial and from the power of all the spirits predestined to him. Now, you got to understand that enemy has a lot of spirits, right? There's a lot of entertainment. We saw some today. There's a lot of spirits. I'm telling you, it's out there. Okay, allied with him will be all the righteous divine beings. And you read Yeshayahu, Isaiah 61:3. This is that which all the divine beings, this visitation, is the day of salvation that he has decreed. Through Isaiah the prophet concerning all the captivity, as much as the scriptures have said, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messengers who announces peace for bringing good news, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your set apart being reigns. And you can find that in Isaiah 52:7. Okay, so everyone's familiar with this a little bit. All right. Everyone ever heard of the War Scroll? Okay. All right. So the War Scroll is an old scroll that was found in Israel. Just a fragment of it here. It'd be a really good read for those that want to know about what's going to happen, the war between the two, sons of light, sons of darkness. But for here, we'll just read just this little bit here. It says, now this Elohim created Adam to rule the world and appointed for him 2 spirits after whose direction he was to walk until the final inquisition. So what does he have? How many spirits? He has 2 spirits. Now, these 2 spirits, they are the spirit of truth and perversity, right? 2 spirits that Adam has. All right. And then it says the origin of truth lies in the fountain of light, and that the perversity in the wellspring of darkness. All who practice righteousness are under the denomination of the Prince of Light and walk in the ways of light, whereas all who practice perversity are under the denomination of the Malach, or messenger, commonly called the angel of darkness. Okay, so the Elohim of Israel, and the Malach of truth are always there to help the sons of light. Okay, the Elohim of Israel and the Malach of truth is always there to help the sons of light. Everyone understands that? All right. It is Elohim that created these spirits of light and darkness and made them the basis of every act, the instigators of every deed, and the direction and the director of every thought. Now, what comes to mind? What question would come to mind if you read when you read this particular scroll here? Anything? Anything stands out for you?
So, Moreh, why would he give him the choice?
Okay, so question is, why the church? Why give him 2 spirits?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would even question where they came from.
Well, it says it comes from Elohim. Okay. So the question we all should be looking at is, here it is. We got 2 spirits. One is of light, one is of darkness, one is of truth, one is perversity. And Adam has both of them? Okay. Right. Okay. All right. We'll see in a minute. All right. Light and darkness. Devarim. Now think about what this says. This is where the Most High dwells. Because I don't like to be in darkness. Okay. So, and you came near and stood under the mountain. And the mountain burned with fire until the midst of heaven with darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. 1 Kings 8:12 says, then spoke Shlomo, or Solomon, if you will. Yahuah said that he would dwell in thick darkness. Tehillim, or Mizmor, Psalms 18:11. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion around about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. And lastly, you have Psalms 97:2. It says, clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitations of his throne. Any questions? None? So, why darkness? I mean, he created light, he created darkness. What's going on here? All right. So, the sons of light versus the sons of darkness. Can you dwell in darkness while having light?
No. You dwell in darkness. We're in this world,
Huh?
but we're not of the world.
Physically, yeah.
Can you dwell in darkness while having light?
We're in this world, but we're not of the world.
Yes. Okay, let me ask you all a different question. Maybe.
Hold on. You gotta get Zoom check.
Okay, Zoom. I'll give Zoom 60 seconds. Okay, they don't want it. Okay, so here's the thing. How many of you guys say, hey, I'm a righteous soul, right? I'm walking after the Most High. I desire to do his ways. How much can say that? Yes? Okay. How many of us still got a little bit of darkness in us that we're still trying to get rid of?
Come on now. Come on now.
So are you saying?
All right now.
So now my question is, can you dwell in darkness while having light?
Ken?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. So in other words, until that time of Jeremiah or Yirmiyahu 31:31 and Ezekiel 36 and Hebrews chapter 8, starting at verse 7, when he says he's going to take his Torah, his law, he's going to put it in you and cause you to do something, then we're always going to be fighting this war within ourselves. Okay? Is everyone with me so far? All right. Is the Father showing the enemy that have both in us that we can choose the light? Right? So Adam or mankind is going to show somebody, which we're going to read. It's not all about what I'm saying here, but we're going to read about it. That basically he's going to show that we can overcome, right? If we want to overcome, all right? So keep that in mind. Okay, can we learn from the darkness? Right, okay. So we agree that you can also learn from darkness, right? So everyone's with me so far. All right. Man, no one wants to be, everyone is good. Okay. All right, I got you. Revelations 12:10. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in Shamayim or heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of Mashiach, for the accuser of your brethren is cast down, which accuses them before our Elohim day and night. What does that mean? Is this okay? I'll read it again. Okay. And I heard a loud voice saying in Shamayim or in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
Well, Moreh, that means that the accuser, which is Shaitan, is always accusing the brethren before the Most High day and night.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? I mean, it's not, I promise you, there's no trick question on this board. Huh? All right. So I want you to see what's happening. Someone is trying to say who you are, accusing. Okay, we'll wait. We got some more. All right. Okay. Zechariah 3:1. And he showed me Yahushua the high priest standing before the Malach of Yahuah, and Hashatan standing at his right hand to resist him. What you mean he's doing this thing? Do y'all know anything about this story about Zechariah? And he starts trying to accuse. Okay, great. Luke 22:31 and 32 says, and Yahuwah said to Shimon, Shimon, behold, Hashatan has desired to have you, that he might what? Sift you as wheat. Now, what does it mean, sift? Okay. Okay. Let's just take a look at something here. Here's the Greek, sedezo, right? And it means to sift, to shake and seize, right? Figuratively, inward what? Agitation, to try one's faith to the verge of what? To overthrow. So the enemy is going to, Hashatan is trying his best to shake you up off your square, if you will, as they commonly call it, right? There's constant accusing going on. There's a whole bunch of, now mind you, if you are operating, I said, do we do this one to another sometimes? Huh? Right. So do we do this here? Okay. Everyone agrees first. I'm going to make sure we're good. Because somehow someone gets in this neutral zone because they don't want to be. Okay. So the point I'm saying here is if you're doing this, you can see that this is one of the traits of Hashatan. Yes. Okay. So you might be biting off this tree. All right. Verse 32 says, but I have prayed for you that your faith fail not. And when you are converted, strengthen what? Brethren. Okay, so instead of trying to accuse your brethren and things like that, strengthen your brethren. right? Strengthen them. Because again, all we have is just his kingdom, his people. This is it. And if we're fighting against one another, we got a problem. Because the enemy, they're not even realistically fighting against themselves more than they are fighting against the truth. So if they're fighting against the truth and the people that are in the truth are fighting against one another, there's a no-win battle here. All right? So the accuser, Hashatan, is trying to remove you from the kingdom. Even if you do not want to join his kingdom, he wants to remove the seed, the word from you, lest you be saved, right? Luke 8:11-12. It says the end result is that you would still be going to where his kingdom is going, which is set up for the final judgment. So even you say, I don't serve no Elohim, but you're doing everything that the Shaitan does. You're on your way to the same place he's going. See how that works? So either we're going to stop the part that accusing the brethren part. We're going to stop that. Now, I'm not talking about dealing in righteousness with one another. Let's not get those two things confused. But we got to start working on strengthening the within ourselves and then within one another. We got to start doing this so that we can all prepare for when he comes. All right. So let's keep going with the War Scroll. War Scroll says today is Elohim's appointed time to subdue and to humiliate the prince of the realm of wickedness. Okay, he will send eternal support to the company of his redeemed by the power of the majesty Malach of the authority of Michael or Michael, right? By eternal light, he shall joyfully light up the covenant of Israel. Peace and blessings for the lot of Elohim to exalt the authority of Michael among the Elohim and the dominion of Israel among all flesh. Righteousness shall rejoice on high, and all sons of his truth shall rejoice in eternal knowledge. Okay, so again, Michael is going to be a very instrumental part for Israel, right? How do we know that? You can read this also here in Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of your people, and there shall be a time of troubles, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So I know a lot of us want to be written in that book, right? I'm just making sure we all want to be written in the book. So whenever we start doing that other thing, that we don't like how we treat one another or other people, imagine yourself being removed from that book, right? So if you just kind of pace yourself and just start figuring out, hey, Father, I'm trying to get this, because the War Scroll is really good read. If you guys ever had time to read that one, I'll give you one more at the end of this lesson. It's a really good read to figure out what's happening at this time before things were canonized. And just for those that still want to talk about the canon, the 66 books, mind you that the disciples, none of them used that canon. Okay, you even got the book of Enoch written in Jude and some other places. I'm not going to go into that today, but the canon is using the Masoretic text, which came years later. Okay, so I'm only saying that just for those that are strictly canon based, and not saying that what's in the canon can't save you or get you to point you to the right direction, because absolutely it can. But there are some other things that have been written that they understood before the canon, right? All right, we'll keep going. All right, so the end war starts with the beginning war. Remember Isaiah 46:10, you know the end from the beginning. Great. So both wars start with a seed. These seeds have a kingdom, right? All right, so Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, and it shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Okay, there's a seed starting off. There's a problem. So prior to this seed happening, there was a war that took place, and that war created some division, right? And then from this division comes here comes the serpent, beguiles Eve, if you will. Next thing you know, here comes some more stuff comes on the scene. Now there's going to be a war of seeds, if you will. Okay, just just trying to keep it plain for right now. There's multiple acts of disobedience that I might want to add to this in the future, but for right now, we'll keep it there. Luke 8:11-12 says, now the parable is this: the seed is the word of Elohim. Those by the wayside are they that hear, then comes the devil and takes away the word out of their heart, lest they should believe and be saved. So the devil knows that seed, as long as it's in you, you're going to be saved. I got to get that thing up out of you, right? However that means. Now, we can all sit there and say, hey, I don't serve the devil. But the minute you start operating like him, that's where it's going to get you, right? 1 Kepha 1:23, or 1 Peter 1:2 says, being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of Elohim, which lives and abides how long? Now, you got to ask yourself about this one verse here, right? So think about it. Being born again. Everyone's familiar with that? Be born again. I'm born again, right? Great. Then it says not corruptible seed, right? So then we got to ask yourself, what's not a corruptible seed? But of the incorruptible, it says by the. So if the word of Elohim doesn't have any corruption in it, and this person, then it says being born again with this particular seed. Mind you, at this time, Matthew to Revelation didn't exist yet. Then did they believe that the Father's word, i.e. the Tanakh, is what they consider not corrupted, which lives and abides forever? Is that a true statement? Yes. All right. So again, more on that when we do our technically our Christian series, if I guess I'll call it that. Yeah. Anyway, well, because you remember what happened last time. Last time is that didn't go so well. Meaning, yeah, well, for those that are online, they don't know the story, so I'll briefly tell the story, and then we'll keep going. So, how many years ago was that? 5, 6 years ago, I said I want to do a series on Christianity, the difference between Christianity and the Messianic walk, believing in the Mashiach. So I said, we're going to teach it. We taught the whole series. And then I said, at the end of that series, I'm going to be a pastor, and you guys are going to witness to me being a pastor. Somehow, it didn't work too well. I almost had someone almost convert. All right. So we'll keep going. He went ahead and left the building. All right. Matthew 12:25. And Yahuah knew their thoughts, and he said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Shaitan cast out Shaitan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Right? It can't. But what we do understand, though, is Shaitan has a kingdom and he has a seed. Right? So if he has a kingdom, he has a seed. The Father has a kingdom, he has a seed. Look where this war is. Okay? Is everyone with me so far? All right. So this is going to get a little sticky for some people. Please just bear with me. Genesis 6:2 says, the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahuah said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, also after that, when the sons of Yahuah came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men renowned. And Yahuah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. All right, so, I know we've always had this talk about, did the Malachims or the Watchers come down, have sex with their women, and, things like that, right? And so people are having some issues in that regard versus, maybe it's just other men that were considered sons of Elohim, let's say Seth's children, as some would say, but I want you to kind of see the focus of the seed in this particular story here. So here's what it said here, and then where this information comes from. We'll go to Enoch. And it says, and the Melachim, the children of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, come, let us choose wives for ourselves from among the daughters of man and beget us children. Okay, 7:1 says, and they took wives unto themselves, and every one chose one woman for himself, and they began to go unto them, and they taught them magical medicine, incantations, the cutting of roots, and taught them about plants. And the women became pregnant and gave birth to great giants whose heights were 300 cubits. These giants consumed the produce of all the people until the people detested the feeding them. 8:2 says, and there were many wicked ones, and they committed adultery and erred, and all their conduct became corrupt. 12:4 says, and at that moment the watchers were calling me, and they said to me, Enoch, scribe of righteousness, go and make known to the watchers of heaven, who have abandoned the high heavens, the set apart eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, as their deeds move the children of the world, and have taken unto themselves wives. They have defiled themselves with great defilement upon the earth. Okay, so here Enoch is given, and this, again, it's not about if something's older, because a lot of times we say, well, we do know the book of Enoch is an old book that actually predates the Dead Sea Scrolls, actually. But anyway, it's an old book, and it's been told for a long time, right? But let's just say this is what's happening. 15:5 says, on that account, I have given you wives in order, meaning mankind. Okay, I have given you wives in order that seeds might be sown upon them, and the children born by them, so that the deeds that are done upon the earth will not be withheld from you. So, in other words, as far as on the earth is concerned, I'm allowing this to promote seed and to growth and to fill the earth, right? Be fruitful and multiply, and actually wanting his name be all on the earth. This is the objective, right? Then it says, indeed, you formerly were spiritual, having eternal life, and immortal in all the generations of the world. That is why formerly I did not make wives for you. I mean, I did not make wives for who? The Melachims. Okay. For the dwelling of the spiritual beings of heaven is heaven. But now the giants who are born from the union of the spirit and the flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, because their dwelling shall be upon the earth and inside the earth. Evil spirits have come out of their bodies, because from the day that they were created from the Kodesh ones, they became the watchers. Their first origin is the spiritual foundation. They will become evil upon the earth and shall be called evil spirits. And they're saying this is where evil spirits came about. Okay, how are we so far? All right. Question becomes, if you don't believe this, where does evil spirits come from? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, you had something?
He said, I believe him.
Oh, she needs a mic.
You do need it. Oh, yeah, you need it, absolutely.
Question. So on the last page, the last slide, did you say, did it allude to the fact that that's where, what is this, witch? You know how they, what am I trying to say, you guys? The witchcraft, the voodoo, maybe?
Right.
Is that kind of where it
Right. Right. That they taught those things. I got you. It's in your canon. Okay. So understand that these evil spirits came somehow, right? And when we did that Elohim series, remember, we went into a lot further about how these things went about and some things like that, but we won't do that today. All right. And then it says, all those who serve him righteously, who know him faithfully, right? And the curse is Belial for his contentious purpose, and a curse for his guilty dominion, and curse are all spirits of his lot for their wicked purpose. A curse are they for all their impure, unclean service, For they are the lot of darkness, but the lot of Elohim is light. Okay, eternal, you are the Elohim of our fathers. We will bless your name forever, for we are an eternal people. You made a covenant with our fathers and established it for their seed. So I'm sharing with you, there is a war between seeds. Is everyone still tracking so far? Any questions up to this point? Okay. All right. Then I decided the conception was at the hands of watchers that the seed has been planted by Kodashim ones or Nephilim. So this is Lamech having a dream, and he had a dream about a son, and he was lit up. I mean, he was eyes was a certain way, hair was a certain way. He's trying to figure out like, who that? What is this? My child? Right? Everyone familiar with the story? Okay, so he's inquiring, and so they had to go, and of course, Enoch tells them that they basically Noah's going to be the righteous one that's going to bring in an X, Y, and Z. So, but you should read the whole story. It's a decent story. Anyway, Galatians. Now to Abraham and to his seed were the promise made. He says, not and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to your seed, which is Mashiach. So again, there is this issue between seed and seed, right? More on this when we start talking about the war, end time, or eschatology, if you will. We'll talk about what's involved into that. But before we do that, let me just put something together here. In the beginning, we see the following. Seed will fight against seed. Whether you believe in other writings or not, the bottom line is it's in the canon. It's always going to be a seed against seed, right? The seed is physical, but also spiritual, right? Sons of Belial, you have your father, the devil, meaning that he also is operating with a physical seed as well. Seed of Yahuah, seed of Hashatan. These seeds will produce children, okay? These seeds are called children of light, children of darkness. Because we have the seed of the tree of good and evil, we are having to decide which seed do we want. If his seed is, I'm talking about the immersion here, must be helped take place, meaning if we have this seed and we decide we want to choose what is right, then he tells us we got to go through a process. And in this process, we do this thing called immersion. In layman's term, they call it baptism, right? And you're dying to the old self or to the thing that's evil or the thing that's not of him, right? Okay. We have to die of our old ways and of the ways of Belial and serve Yahuah. These seeds will produce fruit. Knowing the fruit will help us know the seed you are operating from. Lastly, these seeds have a father. Okay, so you are not going to start your own seed. Okay, there's only good and evil. There's no good, neutral, evil, because you don't have a kingdom to put yourself in, right? And you can't promise nothing, and you wasn't given nothing other than what's been handed down. So we'll go more into that later. Galatians 10:6 says, and the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mitzrayim, and Put, and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabath, and Ramah, and Sabtata, and the sons of Ramah is Sheba and Dedan. Verse 8 says, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahuah. Therefore, it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuah. And the beginning of his kingdom was, what was it? Babel, right? Babel and Erech and Akkad. And anyone, does anyone know anything about these lands? Anything about the land? Kalne and the land of Shinar. Does anyone know anything about these lands? Huh?
Well, aren't they so far there, like in Africa?
Okay. Close. Would you say?
Are you talking about location, like Babylon?
Right. So Babel is Babylon. When you look up the word Babylon in your English in books, everywhere it says Babylon, it's the Hebrew word Babel. Right? All right. So the point is I would like to bring out is comparing Babel or Babylon with Sion, right? And so you're going to see that the first kingdom that scripture mentions is Babel or Babylon, right? And it's also going to be the same war in the last. You see how that works? Remember the end from the beginning? The first one, Babel, which is also Babylon. And then you're going to see now we're going to be at Mount Zion, or it's commonly called Zion. Everyone sees the problem here from the beginning. All right. Then what happened at Babel? Anyone know? Confusion took place. But what type of confusion? Huh?
Language.
Tower of Babel.
That was the problem?
The
That
language
was the problem?
the language was confused. No one understood.
Okay. All right. So
There
they're
was
trying to build a
mixing going
tower.
on.
Okay, go ahead.
There was a lot of mixing going on.
Okay. A lot of mixing going on, right? So but they were all on one accord with one language, right? But the problem was they were trying to build something for themselves, not for the Most High, right? So they came together for the wrong reason, right? Now, some of us, we don't do that. I mean, Hebrews don't do that. No.
That's how we do.
There's no way. That is
always
not
come
possible.
together.
Mm-mm.
You get a crowd for the wrong reason.
Oh no, not
There's
his
a fight
people.
over here.
Not his people. We don't go for we don't do this for the wrong reasons. I know that ain't us. Thank you, Father. All right. Let's go to the next slide. All right. This, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Yirmiyahu or Jeremiah 51. This is talking about the last days. Okay. So listen to it. It says, thus saith Yahuah, behold, I will raise up against Babel or Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, and destroying wind, or destroying ruach, or a destroying spirit. Okay. For Yisrael or Israel has not been forsaken, nor Yehuda of his Elohim, of Yahuah of hosts. So mind you, they have never, ever been forsaken. All this Israel's done away with, and not happening. It says, through the land was filled with sin against the set apart one of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babel or Babylon. It tells you to do what now? Flee. Okay. It says, and deliver every man his soul. What does that mean? You going to sit back and wait for him to come, and then he just delivers you out and delivers your soul? Is that what it, huh? Or, okay, all right. It says, be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon or Babel has been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. We would have healed Babel or Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Yahuwah has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Sion, commonly called Zion, the work of Yahuwah our Elohim. Now, what does it mean in verse 9? It says, we have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. And it says, forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. How does that work? You're going to wait for Yahuwah to go fly up in a spaceship? You're going to blink, you're going to open up, you're going to be on the cloud with the harp? How does this work? Okay. All right.
Good answer, Aki.
All right. So everyone sees what's happening so far, right? Even if you don't have an answer, everyone sees what's happening so far, right? Okay, great. We'll keep going. The portion of Yacouba Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. For it says, you are my battle axe and weapons of war. Who's that? Israel is the battle axe and the weapon of war, right? All right, keep that in mind. For with you will I break in pieces the nations, and with you will I destroy kingdoms, plural. And I will render unto Babel or Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahuah. Set you up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Arad. Anyone know where that's at? Is that where the Noah's boat landed? Everyone know where that's located, right? Over in Turkey. Okay. So no, we're not. That's why we're not supposed to eat turkey. No, okay, no. Okay, no.
Come on now.
My bad.
Come
I
on.
sneak that in. All right. So
we
we'll
ain't
keep
eating
going.
no meat right now.
All right. Just because you want to some of that yard bird. I'm not saying you can. I was just messing. Anyway, but keep in mind though that he's telling you that, for an example, that there's something's going to happen in Babylon, right? And then it says set up a standard in the land. When we go to the land, we have to set a stand. You cannot bring your nonsense into the land. All right, you have to set the standard. So anyway, Minnie and Ashkenaz, I wonder who that is. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. All right, so everyone's with me so far. This is all in time. Okay, great. Okay, going 51. Okay, so it says, "My people, go you out of the midst of her." Wait a minute. What is he saying to do?
He said, leave.
He's telling her, my people, go you out of the midst of her and deliver who?
Every man
every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahuah. So him telling us
we need a time when you're going to recognize it's time to go.
That's right. So again, this is telling you, this is what the word says. It's not because how to say, well, I read where it says Yah is going to save me. Yah is going to deliver me. But how is he going to do that? In other words, the minute you start setting your way out, he is the one that's opening doors to deliver you. That's how it works. So it says, remember Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together, ye gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of Yahuah comes upon you, before the day of Yahuah's anger comes upon you. We're supposed to be doing this. Okay? Revelations 14:1 it says, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having the Father's name written on their foreheads." Okay, anyone knows the 144,000 is talking about? Okay, Israel. Verse 8 says, "And there followed another Malach, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Okay, everyone sees this, right?
Moreh,
Ken?
is this physically talking about Babylon or spiritually Babylon?
Well, we'll see. Remember, the seed and the spirit all works. So I'll give you an example after I read 51 verse 7. "Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, and that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad." So how it works where it comes to, let's say, where Babylon is, there's a natural Babylon and there's one that's spiritual. Meaning, if I say Egypt, for an example, there's an Egypt, but then you got over in the U.S., over in, I think it's in, I want to say it's Tennessee. Yeah, they got the pyramids there, right?
What?
Yes, it's Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Tennessee, that's right.
I'm out of here.
Because I remember when I was driving, I saw them myself. I said, I know that ain't pyramids over here. But anyway, my point is this.
It's in Memphis.
Okay, it's in Memphis? Okay, yeah. I knew I saw it about 3 times. Anyway, what I'm sharing is that seed is all over now. So that's what I'm saying. When it starts, and that seed starts to, just like Israel goes all over, and they will scatter to the 4 corners, and then it starts, having the Father's ways in those lands. Same thing that happened with Babylon. Go ahead.
Out in Vegas, they have the pyramid there, but they also have a huge statue of Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's where it is. But I know some people felt they were led to go there. Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. I understand. Mm-hmm. While the Malakim is writing it down, go ahead. You go ahead and do your thing. I got you covered. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the book of remembrance. All right. Mm-hmm. He said, I see you. All right. Uh-huh. All right. Zechariah 2:6 brings me to my question. It says, hoi, hoi, or ho, ho in the, and I'm not me, okay. I'm just saying King James does say ho, ho on there, like, Santa Claus or something. All right. So come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahuah. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Yahuah. Now listen, he says, deliver what? Deliver yourself, O Sion, that dwell with the daughters of Babylon, of Babel. The first kingdom mentioned in the scripture was Babel. Our last stand will be in Sion. So again, you see, he's telling us, deliver yourselves out of Babylon. Where are we at now? Okay. I mean, does anyone have a different understanding of how this is going to work? Now, I'm not saying, for an example, that because you can have a lot of questions like, what if I can't? Right? I can't leave because, well, one I do know is child support. Right? Someone that has child support, I think if they go over a certain amount of money, they can't go nowhere. Right? So then, what do you do about them? Is the father just going to leave them? He said, pay the child support. Well, So if you understand what I'm getting at, there's going to be another gathering. There's a greater gathering, as they call it, the greater Exodus. That's in Isaiah. So there's some that's going to be left that's leaving as a remnant, right? That's going to be able to do that. And there's going to be one where Pharaoh let my people go.
So you're going to have to sit here and suffer.
Well, yeah.
Suffer a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, just let me know when it happens. I will be sending prayers to everybody in the lands. But you will see a picture with me. It won't be no fake back screen, green screen. I'm in the land. You see my green screen? No, I'm gonna be right there waiting on them. It's okay. Yeah. The moral of the story is, get yourself ready. All right. All right, so here you go. So Genesis, the narrative carries through historically with creation, man, sin, and the beginnings of a renewed conflict of the seed. The conflict between Babel and Sion, or Zion, as it's commonly called, constituting the rest of the scripture drama. So in other words, all the scripture from Genesis to Revelation, you're going to see this war, right? So we see days of Noah. You read that somewhere. Right? You see the Noahic deluge. We read that somewhere. Remember, all this is in the Brit Kadashah. You hear the high priest plus the temple. You hear it from the beginning. You hear it towards the end. Okay. Babylon versus Zion. The two seeds, right? Seed from the two fathers, Yahuah and Nakash. Two Adams. You hear about the two Adams. The two creations, heaven and earth. Then it's going to be a renewed heaven and earth. Two spirits. Two people, nations, kingdom, dominions, hearts, bodies, etc. So everyone's with me so far. So all of this is in there from one side of the book to the other. So all we're going to do is start putting all of this together. So I'm only just giving us what we're going to be attempting to do if time permits. Okay. I just don't know. If the Father says, son, it's your time, then it will be a different Zoom meeting. All right. So why the temple? What is the temple? There are 3 temples. Okay. There is a pattern and a purpose for the temple, meaning Moshe or Moses saw a pattern, and then he made the pattern. Is everyone with me so far? All right. There are 3 parts to the temple: the outer, the Kadosh, and the Kadosh Kadashim. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, or what they call the outer courts, holy, and holies of holies. For those that don't know Hebrew, just gotta make sure. All right. The 3 parts of three parts of ourselves that resembles the spirit and physical temple. So there are three parts of ourselves as well that we have. Huh? Okay. Body, soul, spirit, right? So, no, I understand. I understand. You got that out of Ohio theology school. I got it. Don't worry about it. It's coming out. All right. So, let's understand that when we're going to go into this. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just sharing with you. There is a part where it is the body, right? And then there is the soul. That soul basically is like, when I say the body, I'm putting the body / the soul together. The soul is, for an example, is something that can be influenced, good or bad. That's the outer court. It can be influenced, good or bad, right? Then you have a set apart place, which is your spirit. Mankind has a spirit, right? Remember, when we die, that spirit returns back to. Right. And then you have one place where the Kadosh Kadoshim, or commonly called the Holies of Holies, is when the Father Spirit comes in you, right? Same thing in the temple. When you think about the temple, once a year they can go into this Kadosh Kadoshim, or this most set apart place once a year, and His presence is there. And we'll go into a little bit more about that next week. But the point is, that's where His presence is, right? So our body is set up the same way, which we'll see later on. All right, the connection will be seen when the temple that is within us align to His spiritual temple, thereby allowing us to be part of both temples, the spiritual and the physical. Okay, so if we want to be a part of His temple, we first got to get this temple right. So we're going to talk about our temple a little bit, and then from understanding our temple, and then the pattern that was made, and then the physical tabernacle, we're going to see how all three of those align: us, the physical, and the Father. Okay? And then, I don't know how people feel about, let's say, Josephus or Thalia. How many guys are familiar with them? The historians. So they got some things that are written that they understood at their time that we're going to go over just to see what's going on in that. So I won't spoil that one. All right. Good and evil. Deuteronomy or Devarim 30 verse 15, it says, "See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil." Okay. Second Samuel, everybody knows those are the commandments, right? Or His laws. Okay. 2 Samuel 14:17 says, "And your servant thought, the word of Adonai, the king, will set me at rest. For Adonai, the king, is like the Malach of Elohim, who discerns good and evil. Yahuah Elohim be with you." Okay. What do you get out of that? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Okay. No problem. We'll go to the next verse. Genesis 2:9. "And out of the ground Yahuah Elohim made to spring up every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." So what I want you to see so far is, you see the tree of life is there, but then it says the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now I want you to take that back to 14:17, where it says, "For Adonai the king is like the Malach," or the messenger, commonly called the angel of Elohim, to discern good and evil. Yahuah Elohim will be with you. Can you put something together there yet? Okay, no worries. We'll go to the next part. Why not eat from this tree of knowledge of good and evil? Why not eat from there? I mean, we know the Father said don't do it, but why would the Father say don't do it? You need the mic. Okay.
Because being of flesh, He wasn't ready to have that knowledge.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's a mixture. It's one or the other.
Okay. All right. So we'll go with that for a little bit. Anyone else? Okay.
Maybe they wasn't ready to eat from it yet.
Okay. All right. So let's look at something here. They were not given discernment. Right? They were not given discernment. Whereas, look at 17 again. The king is like the Malak of Elohim to discern good and evil. Yahuah Elohim will be with you. He hasn't given you the discernment to understand what that is. First, I need to see where your obedience lies, is what he was looking for, right? But again, you notice, if you go here, he says, for Elohim do know, this is the serpent saying this, in the Nakash technically, he says, and for Elohim do know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as Elohim to know good and evil. And in verse 22, what does the Most High say? They have become like us to know good and evil. However, they don't have discernment. So now I can't allow you to get to that tree of life not having the understanding that you're supposed to have before you had to partake of it. It still produced fruit, but that fruit was not for them. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. 1 Kings 3:9 says, give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil, for who is able to govern this your great people? What is he asking for? Okay, so he's asking, I may discern between good and evil. They didn't have that first. Now that we do have an understanding, meaning that we know what good and evil is, and we always like to do the evil for whatever reason, he says, Solomon is like, hey, I need the discernment so I can discern between the two. I needed that wisdom, that spirit of wisdom to help him specifically for his people. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. Amos 5:14-15 says, seek good and not evil, that you may live, and so Yahuah, the Elohim of hosts, shall be with you. As you have spoken, hate the evil and love the good, and establish judgment in the gate. It may be that Yahuah Elohim of hosts will be favorable unto the remnant of Yosef or Joseph. Okay? So,
I was just thinking about this discernment, and I was thinking about, our children.
Mm-hmm.
When they come into the world, they can't discern between good and evil,
Mm-hmm.
right and wrong. And we're here to guide them in the things that we know.
Mm-hmm.
But then in a lot of ways, we don't have discernment
Mm-hmm.
as to know what is actually good or evil for us. And so that's something that we need to be constantly asking the Father for his wisdom in discernment and how we go forth, because that's the thing that kind of trips us up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to know if something's good. We're thinking, oh, this is good. And then you find out it was against his will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you say, just much, if you think about those that either have children or those that have watched children or whatever, and you're the one watching the kids, notice you got how many times you got to tell them, stop this, don't you do that. It's always, you got to say something. Then you're not going to have a 3 or 4 year old that's just going to, oh, Yahuah, he's there with me all the time. Mama, Daddy, I want to pray for you tonight. No, right? Stop running in the house. You're going to hurt yourself. Boom! What happened? I didn't tell you, and then you want to give them a beat and help that pain out. My point is that you notice that the discernment, they don't have discernment. So they would jump off and stuff not knowing how far down. Next thing you know, they broke their bones. See what I mean? In other words, they don't have that discernment. So you are their guide. Now, let's take it to us. He calls us the children of Israel. We're children. We're not adults doing adult things. We're always going back to his word. Some of us has matured in his word. Some of us are still babes in his word. Some of us are still grabbing some of the foundational principles of it. But until that day that it says in Jeremiah 31 and Ezekiel chapter 36 and Hebrews chapter 8 verse 7, until that day happens, we're still learning. We're still teaching one another. We still have to do that. but we're always going to be considered children in his eyes. Okay? So is everyone with me so far? Okay. All right, so the making of war. Okay, so here's the part that I want to close out with. So I want to close out with an old book, not in the canon, the Testament of Levi. Has anyone heard of the Testament of Levi? Okay. This book was said to be written about 104 to 103 BCE, or most would say BC. Okay. In the future, I would like to talk more about the 12 patriarchs in the future. But for right now, let's just read what it says and tell me what you get out of it. When vengeance will have come upon them from Yahuah, the priesthood will lapse. Does anyone know that took place? Right? The priesthood is lapsed. Levitical priesthood. Okay, great. And then Yahuah raised up a new priest to whom all the words of Yahuah will be revealed. It's going to be revealed in this new priest. Okay? He shall effect the judgment of truth over the earth for many days. And his star shall rise in heaven like a king, kindling the light of knowledge as day is illuminated by the sun. And he shall be exalted by the whole inhabitant world. This one will shine forth like the sun in the earth. He shall take away all darkness from under heaven, and there shall be peace in all the earth. Now, mind you, this is before the birth of Mashiach. So when people are talking about, this Christian doctrine, or you got sold by the, I don't want to call it the white man, but that's how they kind of view things around here sometimes, right? But my point is that when they view, I said, well, let's just look at stuff that's before Matthew through Revelation and see if they still believed in a Mashiach and someone to come and things like that. Go ahead.
Get on it. All right, so right there where it says the star shall rise in the heaven like a king. Was that like a physical thing? Is that what the wise men were looking for?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll keep going. It says, the heavens shall greatly rejoice in his days, and the earth shall be glad. The clouds will be filled with joy, and the knowledge of Yahuah will be poured out on the earth like the water of the seas. And the Melachim of esteem of Yahuah's presence will be made glad by him. The heavens will be opened, and from the temple of esteem sanctification will come upon him with a fatherly voice, as from Abraham to Yitzhak, or Jacob. And the esteem of the Most High shall burst forth upon him, and the spirit of understanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water. For he shall give the majesty of Yahuah to those who are his sons in truth forever, and there shall be no successor for him from generation to generations forever. And in his priesthood the nations shall be multiplied in knowledge on the earth, and they shall be illuminated by the favor of Yahuah, but Israel shall be diminished by her ignorance, and the darkness by her grief. In his priesthood sin shall cease, and lawless men shall rest from their evil deeds, and righteous men shall find rest in him. Okay? So,
can I ask a question?
Lo. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'll see if you knew the Hebrew. Go ahead.
Oh, is this the set apart spirit that you're speaking of?
No, this is the Mashiach, who we believe is the Mashiach.
Because I thought you said this was before the Mashiach.
Right, before his birth. Meaning the writing. This writing was predates the time that he came in the flesh.
Okay. Ta-da.
All right, Levi 18:10. It says, and he shall open the gates of paradise. He shall remove the sword that has threatened since Adam. Y'all remember that sword? That was at the garden. Just turning, right? He said, and he will grant to the saints to eat of the tree of life. The spirit of set apartness shall be upon them, And Belial shall be bound by him, and he shall grant to his children the authority to trample on wicked spirits. And Yahuah will rejoice in his children. He will be well pleased by his beloved ones forever. And Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov will rejoice, and I shall be glad, and all the saints shall be clothed in righteousness. Okay? So, this is a really good text, but it also meets all the stuff that's in the Brit Hadashah and in Enoch, some other places. So, hopefully I'll go over some more in the future, just to kind of show you a lot of the things that's happening that they've already understood. So when Mashiach comes and the disciples, if you will, and some of them are searching the scriptures to see if he's who he say he is, then they're using things that is not in the canon today. I guess I would just say it that way. They're using things that's not in the canon today. But I can tell you right off the back, for an example, they were using the Septuagint, right? If everyone knew a little history behind the disciples when they became apostles, meaning Shaliach or being sent, they were quoting things such as you read in the book of Hebrews. You remember when it's talking about body was prepared for me, right? All right, and it's quoting Psalms chapter 40 verse 8. But if you look at the Masoretic text, it doesn't say that. But if you look at the Septuagint, it does say that, right? The older text. That's what I'm saying. You might want to go back and look at some of these older texts. But anyway, we'll keep going. So now this is just a little bit about the 12 patriarchs. Okay, so the Greek church prudently refused to acknowledge the authority of the testaments, and the Occidental clergy was in no doubt as to their authenticity. But listen, says they blame the malice of the Jews, of course, for concealing the testament from them on account of the evident prophecies about Messiah, which are clearly seen there. Okay, if you want to read about it, that's where you can read it for yourself. Okay, all right. Any questions? Any questions? No? Low? Yeah, that's the Testament of Levi. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Moreh, where can we get the non-canonized versions of the 12 patriarchs?
So you can get it from a couple of places. One is you can get it from Amazon. They actually sell the book itself. You can get it from Amazon. I got it from, I don't know if you want to get the book I have was $362.
Well, no, I'm good with that. Well, hey, that's a little pricey.
Thank you.
But the reason why I got that one was only because I wanted from a scholarly source, and they've done some background history on the books. So, because some books that are what they consider extra biblical writings, but they're just philosophy writings, and they're being seen as scripture, right? So I like to see something that has a background. Like for example, the Testament of Levi has a Aramaic and a Hebrew copy to it, and they found bits and pieces of Levi in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's where the dating of 104, 103 BCE comes from. Okay.
Yeah, I have it, but it's canonized. So.
I'm sorry.
Well, one does the best that one can. I don't have that kind of money. So, ta-da.
Hallelujah. Okay, anyone else? All right. If all hearts and minds is clear, we will close, and then we'll start up the Hebrew class. You can close it out.